was some fun. But I kept my day job. It is wonderful to see all of you. I really do just have incredible memories of this city. I think this may be the last time I took a walk, was here. It was right before debate, and I started walking down the river. And at the time, nobody quite noticed me. And I got pretty far down from the hotel, and then somebody said, "You're Obama, aren't you?" And that was it. Secret Service started coming around. But I had wonderful memories of this place, and I have so many good friends here. It is great to see all of you. It is also great to be out of Washington, D.C. Don't get me wrong. D.C. is a wonderful town. But the conversation in Washington, is somebody phone? Those photographers are in court. The conversation you hear in Washington is just very different from the conversation you hear around the kitchen table or around the office coolers. And that's why we recently decided our re-election campaign will be the first one in modern history to be based out of Washington, D.C. We're going back to Chicago. I was thinking about coming off. I had to go home. Because I don't want our campaign to only be hearing from pundits and lobbyists and political insiders. I want our campaign to be hearing from the folks who got me to the Oval Office. I want to be hearing from you. I want to make sure we're putting the campaign in your hands. The hands of the same organizers, the same volunteers, the same ordinary people who did extraordinary things the last time around. That's what this campaign is still about. Now, I'll confess a few things have changed since that time. A few of us are a little bit older. Some of us are a lot grayer. But all of us, I hope, can still remember that night in Grand Park. The streets, the sense of possibility in the air. And I hope you also remember what I said back then. That wasn't an ending, that was just the beginning. It was just the beginning of what we knew was going to be a steep climb. Now, I confess I didn't know how steep it was going to be. It turned out we took office in the middle of the worst recession in our lifetimes. One that left millions of Americans without jobs. Hundreds of thousands without homes. It was a recession that's so bad that a lot of families are still dealing with the aftershocks to this day. And so coming in, we immediately had to take a bunch of tough decisions. And they were not always popular. But 2.5 years later, an economy that was shrinking at about 6% is now growing again. Over the last 3 months, just the last 3 months alone, we've added about 750,000 private sector jobs just in the last 3 months. Over the last 14 months, we've added more than 2 million private sector jobs to our economy. Some of the things that folks said wouldn't work, they worked. Remember our intervention in the auto industry? When a whole bunch of folks were saying, let it go by the wayside? GM is now hiring back all of its workers. All of the big 3 automakers are expecting to make a profit again. So we made progress, but we've still got some climbing to do. So don't take off your boots. Because the summit we want to reach is one where every child in America has opportunity. It's one where we're looking out for one another. Whether we're poor or disabled or infirm or in our golden years. It's one where America is more prosperous than ever before, and all Americans are sharing in that prosperity. That's the summit we want to reach. It's going to take more than a couple of years to get there. In fact, it's going to take more than one term to get there. I'm reminded every night when some of you know I get letters from all across the country, and I read 10 of them every night. And I get letters from people who are really working hard, doing everything right. But they can barely afford to keep up, barely keep their families afloat. You know, you get a letter from somebody who has sent out 50 resumes and haven't gotten an answer back. You get a letter from a child who says their parents are having to sell their homes. Mr. President, is there anything you can do? Those are the Americans I'm thinking about every day when I wake up in the morning and every night when I go to bed. And they're the reason you elected me president. You didn't elect me president for a fancy title or a nice place to live. You elected me to bring about real change in the lives of people all across this country. And make sure everybody gets a fair shot at American freedom. That's why you're elected. Because of you, we've made great progress. I want you to remember that. We have made incredible progress. Sometimes folks forget. Progress shouldn't make us complacent, but it should remind us that change is possible.
Thank you for getting bin Laden.
It should inspire us to finish what we started. Because of you, we were able to prevent a second Great Depression. But in the next few weeks, in the next few months, next few years, we have to make sure that the new jobs and industries of our time are created right here in the United States of America. Yeah. We have to make sure that America is prepared to win the future. Because of you, we've ended taxpayer subsidies that were going to banks under the student loan program. We're taking that money, billions of dollars, and making college more affordable for millions more students, including those right here in Paso. Learning in schools across the country by launching something we call Race to the Top. We've got to keep on going though. Our reforms are not done. I want every child in Texas and every child in America ready to graduate, ready to go to college, and actually able to afford going to college. That's how we're going to compete and out-educate the rest of the world. That's how America will succeed in the 21st century. Because of you, we made the largest investment in clean energy, renewable energy in our history. But we've got more work to do. Some of you may have noticed gas prices are a little high. And with all the instability around the world, we've got to keep making those investments in alternative energy. And to help pay for it, by the way, because we've got to worry about our fiscal situation. It's time to eliminate the $4 billion in taxpayer subsidies that we're giving to oil and gas companies. While you're struggling to tank, instead of subsidizing yesterday's energy sources, let's invest in tomorrow's energy. Because of you, we're putting hundreds of thousands of people back to work, repairing crumbling roads and bridges, our infrastructure. But now we've got to make sure America is built to compete in the 21st century. Not just new roads and bridges, but high-speed rail lines and high-speed internet. We always used to have the best stuff. Texas knows something about that, but today, South Korea high-speed internet than we do. China's got high-speed rail. It didn't have to be that way. We created the internet. Austin knows a little bit about the high-tech industry. We should be leading the world when it comes to cutting-edge technologies and innovation.